Hey guys, Ray from LoveYourRV.com. Well, we've pulled the trigger and bought ourselves a brand new truck. We're getting a 2018 Ram 3500. Be a single wheel drive, 8-foot box. We're getting the high output Cummins engine on it, 6.7 liter for 930 foot-pounds of torque. I'm also getting the ASIN transmission, the heavy duty transmission, so that's going to be cool. Looking forward to that. We've actually factory ordered it because we wanted to get exactly the features we wanted. We weren't big on all the bells and whistles and creature comforts. They really drive the price of a new truck up, so we kept that down and went mainly for the towing features, things that are going to help us tow our camper. That's what I was most important thing to me was that. We've been using this old 1994 truck for so long, we won't miss anything. The new truck will seem luxurious to us compared to this one. Anyway, I thought I'd do a video on my thought process as to why we bought a new truck and why we decided to retire Big Blue. Even though it's in great shape, looks really nice and everything, but there's a lot of things that went into my decision. When I posted the video, rip Big Blue, a lot of people came in and said, overwhelmingly, the commenters came in, and a ton of commenters came in and said that I should be dumping a new engine in there and not getting rid of that truck or scrapping that truck. And I think a lot of those people, they're not towing big heavy fifth wheels, like they're not full-time RVers, because in the RVing crowd that's towing big loads, most people were the opposite. They were saying, yeah, you should get a new truck, you'd be really happy with a new truck, versus the other guys are saying, oh, you should fix that old truck, it's way cheaper, don't throw away that old truck. But I'm not going to throw away the truck. I'm going to make sure I sell it to somebody who's going to fix it up and take care of it, because we've loved that old truck. But anyway, I thought I'd go through and show you why I decided to not repair the truck, and why I didn't go with a used truck but went with a new truck. So let's get into that. So first let's recap Big Blue's major problem here. I noticed a knocking, kind of a knocking, banging noise when we were down in Arizona after pulling quite a grade near Phoenix. Something happened in the engine and started to kind of have a miss and a knock. Slowly we made our way back to BC, about 1,500 miles, and it got worse and worse and worse. When I got back to BC, I noticed it was leaking quite a bit of oil out of all kinds of seals. Looks like every seal was leaking. So I took it into a shop, and they informed me that it had a lot of crankcase pressure and looked like probably a cracked piston or bad rings in a cylinder. They'd have to start tearing it apart and have a look to know any further, but they were saying probably a rebuild or a replacement of the block. Started quoting me up into the 6,000 to 8,000 range, so I had to think about that and decide whether we were going to fix old Blue or not. Now I probably would have done it, but in the last year or so the truck's been breaking down a lot, multiple repairs. I left us stranded one time in California. So even though the body is in mint shape, the thing looks excellent. There's a lot of little things going wrong. The truck's 25 years old, so you've got every bushing, every rubber bushing, every piece of plastic, anything in there starting to dry out. A lot of the little sensors are failing. I had a Tach Sensor fail and a rear differential speed sensor. Just all kinds of annoying little things, and so it's really lost a lot of its reliability. Also, even though it's a big one-ton diesel, in 1994 they weren't very powerful. It doesn't have huge horsepower, and I noticed right away when I got it, I didn't know anything about diesels. I figured it would tow our 10,000-pound Cougar no problem. Everybody told me, oh, that truck will tow anything. Well, once I started getting into the mountain grades, they were about 8%. I soon found out it was towing at its max. If I get up an 8% grade, I'm in second gear, and I got it revved up near 3,000 just to crawl up the hill. And I always have problems with maybe overheating the transmission, because it's just at the peak of its towing power. So we've put up with it because we bought the truck for $7,500, and it only had 75,000 miles on it. And now it's 100,000 miles, and it's that much later. So that's kind of my reasoning there. I'd really like to get into some more modern truck that we could tow in the mountains with a lot more ease and kind of not worry about all the time when we're going up a big grade whether we're going to kill the truck or not. So just to give you an idea of the stuff that's been breaking down, this is a list of stuff that broke down in the 6 months of our Snowbird trip. So I had a rear differential speed sensor go out on me, and what that was causing was a strange brake pedal behavior where at low speeds it felt like a dead pedal. Kind of freaky. I looked it up and found out it was a sensor, but it was only available through Ford. I had to take it to a Ford dealership and get that done. The fuel lift pump went out right in the worst place, right in the middle of the redwoods. We were stranded on the side of the road. It wasn't very expensive, but the funny thing is that's the second pump that's gone. A year and a half ago I replaced that pump while I was getting the mechanical fuel injection pump replaced. I decided, well, you're going to have it replace this lift pump, and it failed. Part of the problem with these old trucks is a lot of the parts aren't being made by the manufacturer anymore, or any of the quality part makers. Most of them have given up on it. So what's left is a lot of kind of offshore cheapy part makers are coming in to fill the gap, and the parts don't last worth crap anymore, half of them. Then I had to have the fuel return lines replaced and an oil ring kit put in. That's pretty common on these. They create a lot of heat, and they over time they dry out and fail and start leaking diesel all over the top of the engine. Glow plug controller and relay. Just before we left on our trip, the glow plug controller failed, so I replaced both the controller and the relay. And then about halfway through the trip, the glow plugs slowly went out, and I had to get them all replaced. Also the fan clutch. There's a big huge clutch on the big fan that helps cool the engine, and it had gotten really weak over time and wasn't doing a good job of cooling the engine. And in fact, I think that's what caused the engine failure. I was pulling a big grade and I actually saw the engine temp light come on. So unfortunately it was too late, but I still put that in, made quite a difference in cooling. There was a block heater plug that I found out had come loose and was broken. Leaky radiator cap. Also the ignition key cylinder, it started flaking out again. Just before we left on our trip, somewhere in the summer, I replaced that. And like I said before, the parts are just junk, and all of a sudden it was bad again. It didn't even last out the year. And then just recently I noticed our tach quit working and the tach sensor's gone haywire. So that kind of shows you, you can dump an engine in there. Sure, throw an engine in there and everything's good to go for another 300,000 miles. Well, not really. There's a lot of other things that make up a truck. You've got suspension and wiring and electronics and all your ball joints, and goes on and on and on, and all that stuff. It's got 180,000 miles on it, 25 years, so that's just going to keep nickeling and diming us to death. Okay, so what was my choice then? I had a few things to consider. These are all Canadian dollars. Canadian dollars worth 75 cents American if you want to do the translation. Anyway, basically it looked like to repair Blue's engine, either to get it rebuilt or replaced, was going to be like $6,000 to $8,000. A lot of guys said, oh, well, you can do it a lot cheaper, but what am I going to do, to go to a junkyard and find an engine that has similar problems? I'm going to have to get a quality engine if I'm going to want to be towing my fifth wheel all over the country like we do. So there's a place in Washington State that builds these old motors. They wanted $5,500 American for a long block, and then it's not like I have a garage or have the mechanical ability to do it myself, so I'd have to pay someone $100 an hour to go in there and take everything apart and put the new engine in and all that. So the other thing is, this isn't a Power Stroke. A lot of people mistake that Blue maybe was the 7.3 Power Stroke. This is the pre-Power Stroke. It's called an IDI, indirect injection diesel, and it was quite a different animal. It's not exactly like a Power Stroke. A Power Stroke's a entirely different block, and it had a different turbo system on it. And over the years, the Power Stroke started in '94 and went all the way up to like 2003. And they improved along the way, and they kept adding better turbos and intercoolers and all kinds of better injectors. So they got better and better till around early 2000s. They were really nice truck. So I could have done that, but then I'd have all those problems I mentioned before. Things would be constantly breaking down. Next thing I could have done is restore Blue. Sink $25,000 into it, get a spiffy motor rebuilt, change the turbo system to an aftermarket turbo system, maybe rebuild the transmission again, go through and do the brakes and ball joints and suspension and just go right through it, and replace everything. But you're looking at $25,000. Then I'd still have the problem. It wouldn't be as powerful as I would like, towing our fifth wheel around. Be great for towing a boat around or going to Home Depot or towing. It'd be a beautiful truck just to use around town. But when you're always on the highway with a heavy load, it just doesn't have the get up and go that I'd really like. I'd be constantly worried about the transmission burning out or something like that. Then next is like a newer used truck. That was really tempting, and I was looking through the online classifieds quite a bit, looking at trucks. But it's amazing how the trucks hold their value, and the good trucks, like the early 2007-liter Power Strokes, they really want a mint for them because everybody wants them. And the ones they don't want are usually it's super high mileage truck. Like I'm going to buy a truck that's 350,000 kilometers on it already for like 30 or 40 grand. I don't think so. Plus I'm going to pay tax on a used truck up here of 12%. So unless there was a few that came on, and I was ready to call the people, around 25 grand, looked like they were used just to tow a fifth wheel down to Arizona, and they were gone like within a day and they were just poof. So the ones that were left were just, most of it was garbage. So finally we decided to bite the bullet and get ourselves a brand new truck. We shopped around. I ended up deciding on the Ram 3500. Won't really go into it in this video. Later on I'll go into why I choose Ram versus Chevy, Dodge, that sort of, or Chevy and Ford. So we ended up paying $68,000 plus the tax. So it's going to take a while to pay that down, but we're going to have a brand new truck. So let me go through the pros and cons of the new truck versus Blue. First, we'll just go through some of the specs. Old Blue versus the new Ram. Okay, Old Blue is a two-wheel drive dually. The new one's going to be a four-wheel drive single rear axle truck. The rear end in Blue is 410s, so on the freeway it's screaming pretty good, even when it's in overdrive. Versus I'm going to get 342 rear end on the new truck, so a lot better fuel mileage, I'm hoping. Towing for Blue, it's hard to find figures for trucks that old, but I looked at the gross cargo weight rating was 20,000, and Blue weighs in around 7,000, so I'd say 13,000 pounds is what Blue is capable of towing, versus the Ram decked out, even with those gears and a single axle, its tow rating is still over 20,000 pounds. You set it up with a dually and 410s and it bounces up to 35,000 pounds, although we didn't need anywhere near that, so I didn't go for the dually for that reason. I just don't need that kind of awesome towing. Payload for Blue is pretty good. It was near 3,000, somewhere around 3,000 pounds. But the new Ram's going to be 4,320 pounds. So, we're going to go from already being good to like build. It will be so under capacity. It'll be awesome, or so over capacity. I don't know. Anyway, you know what I mean. The transmission on Blue is a 3-speed with overdrive versus the 6-speed. I'm getting the Aisin heavy-duty transmission, so it's not one of the Dodge ones. Everybody says, oh, the Dodge transmissions aren't very good, but this is the new Aisin heavy-duty option they offer. Power, Old Blue had 190 horsepower, and that was with the turbo. The turbo added something like 10 horsepower to it or something, versus the new one is 395 horsepower. So, almost basically double what Blue was. Torque, 385 foot-pounds of torque in old Blue versus the new one is 930 foot-pounds of torque. Whew. Wicked. So here we go, the pros as we see them with the new truck. Massive increase in towing capacity, you could see that from the previous specs. Also, we're going to get sort of an increase in safety. The new trucks, they're going to have the modern airbags and crumple zones and all that stuff versus old Blues. Just, back in '94, they just gave you some, good seat belts and that. And there you go. Reliability, I'm hoping, I hope I don't get a lemon, but, all in all, talking to folks who have new trucks, they're pretty reliable. At least you're going to be under warranty for 3 to 5 years, so you won't have to be paying for breakdowns. Comfort, the old one had air conditioning and decent seats, but the new ones, they have, really wicked air conditioning and really nice comfortable seats and lots of leg room, and it's going to be a crew cab. We had what they call, I think it's super cab, so it kind of had a weird little back seat that you could cram people in if you wanted, but this is a nice luxurious crew cab. You get another extra foot or two in there to stretch out in. Also, I'm really looking forward to the 4x4 capability for off-road. One thing with our old truck being a dually, once you unhook the trailer and drive that thing around, it's bouncing all over the back end on washboard. Also, it was really scary to take it into anywhere with loose gravel and especially sand, like down the desert. You go through a sandy wash and you're afraid the back end's going to spin and sink and you'd be stuck there and have to pull out the shovel, and who knows how long you might be stuck there. So we didn't go a lot of places. It really didn't have huge clearance either, so there was a lot of places we just never went because we didn't want to kill our truck or get stuck like 10 miles out in the desert. So it would be nice to have a 4x4. I think we'll get to a lot more places, and I'll be less afraid to tow the trailer into certain places too, and fear of getting stuck. So that's going to be a big boon for us. I think it'd be more fun to drive, less stress, especially you'd be going up in the mountains and not worried about crawling up hills and always stressing out that you're going to overheat the engine or overheat the transmission. Are we going to make it up this grade? That kind of thing. So I think it'd be a lot more relaxing and fun to drive. Also, the new truck's going to have a 5-year powertrain warranty or 100,000 kilometers. It's also got a 3-year bumper-to-bumper everything warranty or 36,000 kilometers. Now, the good thing with us is we drive a lot in the 6 months we go snowbirding, but we actually just drive down there and then we slowly move around 100 miles at a time, so we really don't put a lot of miles on because in the summer we're pretty stationary. So we put 100,000 miles on Blue in 7 years, so I think we'll probably be able to stretch that warranty right to the max. And finally, the cons of a new truck. Well, the number one major con is the price. New trucks are not cheap, especially if you want a diesel truck and you want a big 1-ton truck. But the lifestyle we lead, towing our house around, our truck is sort of a vital thing. It's one of the major things in our life. So the cost, we shopped around, we got it down to 68,000 Canadian, which is down in like 56,000 American or something, plus our 12% in taxes. So we're going to be paying it off for a while, but with our lifestyle, we don't have a lot of things to pay for. We don't have a mortgage. Our camper's paid off, so we're lucky we're in a financial position to be able to come up with the money. So not a problem there. But people are kind of looking at it going, oh, that's a lot to pay for a truck, but that's just one thing in their life versus it's sort of our main thing in our life is to have a truck to pull our house around. There's going to be a little bit of higher insurance rate because the cost of replacing old Blue, I don't know what the Blue book is on a 94 truck, but it must be like $2,000 or $3,000 probably what they would give us for it. So I'm sure that's going to be bumped up. And then another biggie is the emission issues. It has to take the new DEF fluid, and the emission stuff they've added to the motors is if you listen to anybody, they're always saying it's going to break down and stuff like that. It's all chronically braking on them, basically to go with the guidelines set by the government. They've had to add a lot of stuff to the engine to keep what's coming out the tailpipe clean enough, and all that stuff is kind of causes problems. It's extra stuff to go wrong. But I don't know. I talked to a lot of other RVers, friends of mine, and online acquaintances that have these newer trucks, and so far my impression isn't as big of a deal as a lot of people are making out. So I'm hoping. I'll keep two fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. I've also read online some people after their warranty do what's called a delete and take all that emission stuff off if they live in a jurisdiction where they're not going to get caught or have to go through smog controls. So cross that bridge when I come to it. And finally, we feel sad for poor old Blue, our trusty old truck. We're going to have to give it away. Well, we'll sell it. I won't give it away. It still must be worth something. That's another thing I'd like to ask, if you want to come in the comments and kind of give me an indication what you would think that thing's worth right now. I'm kind of looking online, and like a mint truck like that's in good running order with a really good body, I've seen anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000. So I'm thinking if it needs $6,000 or $8,000, maybe I can get anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 is probably what I'm going to ask for. But maybe you can give me an indication of what you feel I should sell Blue for. So anyway, that's the way it is. I look forward to getting the new truck. It's going to be about 3 months from now. We're going to have to baby Big Blue around town. He'll get us grocery getting. But after that, we'll be selling Blue. And then when I get the new truck, you can look forward to a lot more videos on how I like the truck and why I went for the Ram. And I'll be eager to do some mods. I won't be able to leave the thing alone. Till next time, Ray from LoveYourRV.com. Cheers, everyone.